In the heart of Los Angeles, where palm trees swayed gently against a vibrant blue sky, the streets pulsed with life. Tourists snapped selfies in front of iconic landmarks while street performers filled the air with music and laughter. Yet, amidst this energetic chaos, Sam stood quietly on the corner of Hollywood Boulevard, clutching a tattered cardboard sign that read, "Anything helps. Please." Sam was a man in his 40s, his face etched with lines of hardship and resilience. Once, he had dreams, of family, of stability, of a future filled with laughter. But now, his world had shrunk to the size of that sign and the busy street before him. As he watched the bustling crowd pass by, he felt like a ghost, invisible in a city that thrived on appearances. On this particular day, the sun blazed down with relentless heat. Sweat dripped down his brow as he stood there, hoping for a kind soul to notice him. With each passing moment, his hope flickered like the flame of a dying candle. People rushed by, lost in their own lives, their faces a blur of indifference. Yet Sam clung to the hope that someone would stop, if only for a moment. Suddenly, a commotion broke through the din of the crowd. Sam's heart quickened as he spotted a familiar figure moving through the throng, Elon Musk, the billionaire entrepreneur known for his innovative ideas and bold visions. Clad in a simple black t-shirt, he navigated through the crowd, flanked by bodyguards. As they approached, an electric energy filled the air. This was a man who had everything, Sam thought, a man who could change lives with a single decision. Summoning his courage, Sam stepped forward. "Excuse me, sir. Can you spare $1?" Elon paused, intrigued. The crowd around them hushed, curious about this unexpected encounter. Sam's heart raced. This was more than just a plea for change, it was an opportunity, a chance to share his story. "What would you do with $1?" Elon asked, his voice steady, cutting through the tension. Caught off guard, Sam hesitated, searching for the right words. I just need something to eat. But honestly, I dream of starting a business one day." A ripple of surprise went through the onlookers. The request for money had transformed into something more profound, something that spoke of hope and aspiration. Elon leaned closer, curiosity sparking in his eyes. "A business, huh? What kind?" Sam felt a surge of determination. This was his moment. "I used to repair bikes for kids in my neighborhood. I want to start a shop that helps people, that gives back." The crowd murmured, captivated by the exchange. Sam couldn't believe it. Here he was, standing before one of the most influential men in the world, sharing his dreams. For a brief moment, the bustling street faded away, leaving only the two of them in a bubble of connection. Hit subscribe and leave a comment with where you're watching from. This story might just spark a new beginning, called a voice from the back, drawing more attention to the unlikely duo. Elon's expression shifted from intrigue to genuine interest. "Tell me more about that," he urged, encouraging Sam to open up. With each word, Sam's confidence grew. He spoke of the joy he found in fixing bikes, of how it brought him closer to his community. As he shared his story, he felt the weight of his struggles lift, replaced by a sense of possibility. Perhaps this encounter was a turning point, a glimmer of hope in an otherwise bleak existence. "Let's get you something to eat first," Elon said, breaking the tension and surprising Sam with his kindness. As they walked toward a nearby food truck, Sam couldn't help but feel a mixture of disbelief and gratitude. In that moment, surrounded by curious onlookers, he realized that this chance encounter had the potential to change everything. Little did he know, the path ahead was filled with challenges and opportunities he never could have imagined. As they walked side by side, a question lingered in Sam's mind: what would happen next? Sam hadn't always been a fixture on the streets of Los Angeles. Just a decade ago, he was a respected mechanic, known for his knack for fixing bikes and a friendly smile that made kids feel like they could conquer the world. His small shop, Sam's Cycle Haven, was more than just a place for repairs. it was a hub of laughter and community spirit, where neighbors gathered to share stories and kids raced their bikes down the block. Life had been good. Sam had a loving wife, Jessica, who encouraged his dreams and shared his passion for adventure. They spent weekends biking through the hills, exploring new trails, and dreaming of one day opening a bigger shop that could serve even more kids in their neighborhood. But those dreams came crashing down in an instant. One fateful evening, Jessica was in a car accident on her way home from work. She was gone in a heartbeat, leaving Sam devastated and alone. The world he had built crumbled around him, and with it, his will to fight. He tried to keep the shop running, pouring himself into the work, but the heartache was too much. Customers dwindled, and soon he couldn't make ends meet. The bills piled up, and he lost everything, his business, his home, and the sense of family he once cherished. As he stood on that corner in Hollywood, memories of Jessica haunted him. He could almost hear her laughter, feel her warmth beside him. The thought of losing her was a wound that never healed, and it seeped into every aspect of his life. Sam often dreamed of his younger sister, Lucy, who had moved away after the accident, unable to bear the sight of her brother's decline. Their last conversation had ended in anger. She had pleaded with him to seek help, to get back on his feet, but he had lashed out, feeling suffocated by pity. Now, weeks turned into months, and Sam found himself living in the shadows, fighting for survival on the streets. Each day brought new challenges: finding food, dealing with the elements, and facing judgment from strangers. But despite the overwhelming darkness, he clung to a flicker of hope, believing that if he could just share his story, someone might see him as more than just a homeless man. As he recounted his past while walking with Elon, he felt a mixture of sadness and strength. The memories of the laughter and love he once had were painful yet motivating. He shared stories of fixing bikes for neighborhood kids, of the joy in seeing their faces light up when they received their repaired bikes. "I wanted to create a safe space for them, a place where they could learn and grow," he said, his voice tinged with longing. Elon listened intently, his eyes reflecting a depth of understanding that made Sam feel seen for the first time in years. "It sounds like you really had a purpose," he remarked thoughtfully. "What do you think stopped you from pursuing that again?" Sam hesitated, the weight of his own failures pressing down on him. "I thought I had lost everything," he admitted. "It felt easier to give up than to keep fighting." Elon nodded, his expression serious. "I understand that feeling. I've faced my share of setbacks too. The key is to remember that failure doesn't define you. It's how you rise from it that matters." As they approached the food truck, the smell of fresh tacos wafted through the air, mingling with the sounds of laughter and chatter. Sam's stomach growled, a reminder of the hunger that had become a constant companion. They ordered their food, and as they sat on a nearby bench, the atmosphere felt oddly surreal. Here he was, sharing a meal with one of the most influential people in the world. "Why do you think you want to start that bike shop again?" Elon asked, taking a bite of his taco. "What drives you?" Sam looked out at the bustling street, the people moving about their lives, and a sense of clarity washed over him. "I want to give back," he said finally. "I want to show kids that no matter where they come from, they can achieve their dreams. I want to create something meaningful again." Elon smiled, a hint of admiration in his eyes. "That's a powerful motivation. And I believe you can do it. But it won't be easy." As they finished their meal, Sam felt a surge of hope, a feeling that perhaps his life was on the verge of transformation. For the first time in a long while, he allowed himself to envision a future beyond survival, a future filled with purpose and connection. What would it take to get there? He didn't have all the answers, but sitting next to Elon, he realized he was no longer alone in his fight. This encounter could be the beginning of something new, something that might finally lift him from the shadows of his past. As they prepared to leave the food truck, Sam's heart raced with anticipation. The question lingered in the air: what would happen next? As Sam continued to volunteer at the bike repair workshop, each day felt like a small victory against the shadows of his past. The laughter of the kids and the shared smiles of gratitude began to heal the deep wounds left by loss and loneliness. However, with each step forward, a new tension simmered beneath the surface, threatening to unravel the fragile hope he had just begun to nurture. One afternoon, after a particularly busy workshop, Sam sat on a bench catching his breath. The sun was beginning to set, casting a warm glow over the park, but a chill crept in as he observed a familiar figure approaching. It was Lucy, his younger sister. He hadn't seen her in years, and the sight of her brought a rush of emotions: surprise, anxiety, and a pang of guilt. "Sam," she called out, her voice trembling slightly. "Lucy," he replied, standing up. The siblings' eyes locked, and a flood of memories surged forward, both painful and precious. "I've been looking for you," she said, her expression a mix of concern and determination. "I heard you were here." I'm okay," he stammered, instinctively putting up his guard. "What are you doing here?" "I just wanted to talk," she replied, taking a tentative step closer. "Mom and Dad are worried about you. You can't keep living like this." The weight of her words pressed down on him. Sam had long avoided discussions about family, especially since the accident. "I'm doing fine," he insisted, though the words felt hollow even to him. Lucy sighed, frustration evident in her furrowed brow. "You're not fine, Sam. This isn't living. It's just survival. You're better than this." "Better than what?" he snapped, the anger rising. "Better than being homeless? Better than struggling to find food? I'm doing what I can." She looked at him with a mix of compassion and sadness. "You're not the only one who lost Jessica, you know. We all loved her. But pushing everyone away isn't going to bring her back." Sam felt the sting of her words, a painful reminder of the isolation he had built around himself. "I didn't ask for your pity," he shot back, his defenses soaring. "I just want to be left alone." "Sam, I'm not here to pity you. I want to help," Lucy replied, her voice softening. "You can't do this on your own. I can help you find resources, a place to stay, anything you need." He shook his head, frustration boiling over. "I don't want your help. I can manage this myself." Tension crackled between them, and Sam felt the familiar sting of vulnerability creeping back in. "You don't understand," he said, his voice breaking. "I can't just go back to how things were. I've lost everything." Lucy reached for him, desperation in her eyes. "You haven't lost me. I'm here, and I want to help you rebuild. But you have to let me in." Sam took a step back, overwhelmed by emotions he had buried for so long. The thought of facing his past felt like a tidal wave threatening to drown him. "I can't," he whispered, his voice barely audible. As Lucy turned to leave, disappointment etched across her face, Sam felt a pang of regret. He wanted to reach out, to mend their broken relationship, but the fear of vulnerability held him captive. In his heart, he knew he was sabotaging any chance at healing. The next day, Sam returned to the bike workshop, but the joy he usually felt was overshadowed by the weight of his confrontation with Lucy. He tried to focus on the kids, helping them fix their bikes, but his mind kept drifting back to her words. What if she was right? What if he was holding himself back from a chance at a better life? As the weeks passed, Sam's internal struggle intensified. The connection he felt during the workshops was palpable, yet he remained trapped in a cycle of fear and shame. He had moments of clarity where he imagined opening his bike shop again, but they were fleeting, overshadowed by doubt. One evening, while walking back to his usual spot, he noticed a small group of young men gathered around a fire in a nearby alley. Their laughter was loud, and as he drew closer, he could see they were passing around a bottle. He hesitated, the familiar pull of his past life tugging at him, but he pressed on, determined to stay on the path he had chosen. Suddenly, one of the men spotted him. "Hey, look! It's the bike guy," he shouted, laughter erupting from the group. Sam felt the familiar sting of humiliation. "Why don't you join us? We've got plenty to share," another added, waving the bottle in a taunting manner. Sam's stomach twisted. He could feel the pull of their camaraderie, a tempting escape from his struggles. But deep down, he knew that path led only to further pain. "No thanks," he replied, forcing himself to keep walking. "Chicken," one of them called, laughter trailing behind him. Sam quickened his pace, a mixture of anger and frustration boiling inside him. As he arrived at his usual corner, the weight of their taunts lingered, and he sank down onto the pavement, feeling the world close in around him. The voices of doubt crept back in. What if he couldn't change? What if he was destined to be alone, lost in the shadows forever? But then he remembered the kids at the workshop, the joy on their faces when they learned something new. That spark of hope ignited again, reminding him of why he was fighting. He had to push through the darkness, to prove not just to others but to himself that he could rise above. The following day, as he arrived at the workshop, he noticed a flyer pinned to the board announcing a community grant for local entrepreneurs. His heart raced at the sight. This could be the opportunity he had been waiting for, a chance to pursue his dream of opening a bike shop again. But fear quickly crept in. What if he failed? What if no one believed in him? The doubts threatened to overwhelm him, but he took a deep breath, grounding himself in the reality of his journey. Hit subscribe and leave a comment with where you're watching from. This story might just spark a new beginning, he reminded himself, channeling the positive energy he had felt during his conversation with Elon. As he stood in front of the flyer, determination washed over him. He could either let fear paralyze him or take a leap of faith. The choice was his. Sam felt a flicker of hope ignite within him once more. He was ready to take that step forward, no matter how daunting the journey ahead might be. With the sun rising on another day, Sam woke up feeling a renewed sense of purpose. The flyer about the community grant had ignited a fire in him, one that he hadn't felt in years. Today was the day he would take the first step toward rebuilding his life and his dreams. As he made his way to the workshop, the anticipation coursed through him. He envisioned what it would be like to have his own bike shop again, a place where he could not only fix bikes but also foster a sense of community and hope. The thought made his heart race. When he arrived at the workshop, the familiar sounds of laughter and clinking tools greeted him. Kids were gathered around, excitedly chatting about their bikes and the repairs they had learned to make. Sam joined in, helping a group of children fix a flat tire. Their enthusiasm was infectious, and for the first time in days, he felt truly alive. But as he worked, the nagging doubts began to creep back in. What if he wasn't good enough? What if he couldn't write a convincing application? What if he failed? Shaking his head to dispel the thoughts, he focused on the task at hand, pouring his energy into helping the kids. After the workshop ended, Sam found a quiet spot in the park. He pulled out a small notebook, flipping to a blank page. He had seen the details about the grant. The funds would support entrepreneurs looking to start or grow a small business. He needed to write his application, but where to start? Taking a deep breath, he began to jot down his ideas. Sam's Cycle Haven would be a community-focused bike shop that offered affordable repairs and free workshops for kids. He envisioned a space filled with laughter and learning, a haven for young cyclists to explore their potential. With each word, he felt more confident, the visions of his dream taking shape on the page. But then, as he tried to articulate his vision, the fear seeped back in. He wasn't just writing an application, he was exposing himself, his past failures laid bare for others to judge. The weight of vulnerability felt heavy, but he pushed through, reminding himself of the kids he had helped, the smiles on their faces. This was about more than him, it was about giving back to a community that needed it. As he worked through the application, a familiar voice interrupted his thoughts. "Hey, Sam." It was one of the volunteers from the workshop, Mike, a friendly face who had always encouraged him. "What are you up to?" "I'm applying for a grant to start a bike shop," Sam replied, surprised by how easily the words flowed. "I want to create a space for kids to learn and grow." Mike's eyes lit up. "That's awesome. I think it's a great idea. Do you want some help with the application?" Sam hesitated, but then nodded. "Yeah, that would be great." Together, they worked on the application, Mike offering suggestions and helping refine Sam's vision. With each passing hour, Sam felt a growing sense of clarity and purpose. He was no longer alone in this journey, he had someone to share it with, someone who believed in him. As they wrapped up the application, Sam felt a weight lift off his shoulders. "I really appreciate your help," he said, gratitude spilling out. "I didn't think I could do this." "Of course. I believe in what you're trying to do. It's important for the community," Mike replied with a warm smile. "And remember, if you need any more support, I'm here." As the sun began to set, painting the sky in hues of orange and pink, Sam submitted his application online. His heart raced as he clicked the send button. This was it, he had taken the leap, and there was no turning back. But as he left the park that evening, the doubts crept back in. What if the application was rejected? What if he couldn't find the funds to make his dream a reality? He couldn't shake the fear of failure, but he also knew he had to trust the process. The next few days felt like an eternity. Sam went about his usual routine, volunteering at the workshop and helping the kids, but his mind was consumed with thoughts of the grant application. He replayed every word he had written, every detail he had included. Would it be enough? Then, just as he was starting to lose hope, he received an email. The subject line read, "Grant application status." His heart pounded as he opened it, his hands trembling. "Congratulations. We are pleased to inform you that your application has been accepted for consideration. We would like to invite you for an interview to discuss your project further." Sam could hardly believe his eyes. A mix of excitement and anxiety surged through him. This was his chance. But now, the stakes were even higher. He would need to present himself and his vision to a panel of community leaders. As the date of the interview approached, Sam felt the pressure mounting. He spent every free moment preparing, practicing his pitch in front of the mirror, and refining his vision for the bike shop. He wanted to make a lasting impression, to convey not just his ideas, but also the passion that drove him. But with each practice session, the doubts returned, whispering in his ear. What if he stuttered? What if they didn't see his vision? What if he let everyone down again? On the day of the interview, Sam put on his best clothes, a worn but clean shirt and jeans that still had some wear but felt like a second skin. He took a deep breath, reminding himself of why he was doing this. This was for the kids, for the community, and for himself. As he walked into the conference room, he was greeted by a panel of serious faces. But among them, he spotted a familiar one. Elon Musk was there, seated at the center. The sight of him sent a wave of shock through Sam. This was the man who had believed in him before, and now he had a chance to impress him again. "Thank you for being here today, Sam," Elon said with a nod. "We're eager to hear about your vision for the bike shop." As Sam began to speak, he felt the nerves transform into a powerful energy. He poured his heart into the presentation, sharing his dreams of creating a safe haven for kids, a place where they could learn, grow, and find joy in biking. He spoke of community, of resilience, and of the importance of giving back. With every word, he felt himself connecting with the panel, their expressions shifting from skepticism to genuine interest. When he finished, the room was silent for a moment. Then Elon smiled, leaning forward. "Thank you, Sam. That was inspiring. I can see your passion for this project, and I believe it could make a significant impact on the community. Relief flooded through Sam, but as the questions began, he knew he still had to navigate the challenging terrain of the interview. The panel asked about his plans, his budget, and how he would engage the community. Each answer solidified his resolve, the fire within him growing stronger. By the time the interview concluded, he felt as though he had shared a piece of his soul. The panel thanked him for his time, and as he left the room, a sense of accomplishment washed over him. He had fought through the doubts, and regardless of the outcome, he had taken a monumental step forward. Now, all he could do was wait. Would his dream come to fruition, or would he face yet another setback? As he walked out of the building, a wave of hope mingled with uncertainty filled his heart. But for the first time in a long while, he felt alive, ready to face whatever came next. The days following the interview felt like a blur. Sam was caught in a whirlwind of anticipation, each morning bringing a fresh wave of hope and dread. He tried to keep himself busy at the workshop, throwing himself into helping the kids, but his mind constantly drifted back to the panel. The way Elon had looked at him, the interest in their questions, it all felt surreal. But as the wait dragged on, doubt began to seep back in. What if they didn't choose him? What if his dreams were just that, fleeting visions that would never come to fruition? He couldn't shake the feeling that he was teetering on the edge of failure, and with each passing day, the burden felt heavier. One evening, while sitting on the steps of the park, Sam watched the sunset bleed colors across the sky. The beauty of the moment was bittersweet, a reminder of how far he had come yet how precarious his situation remained. He pulled out his phone, scrolling through photos of his bike shop from years ago, the laughter, the joy, the community that had once surrounded him. Suddenly, his phone buzzed. His heart raced as he saw the notification, "You have a new email." With trembling hands, he opened it. The subject line read, "Grant Award Notification." Time seemed to slow as he clicked the message open. The words blurred as he read. "Congratulations. We are thrilled to inform you that you have been awarded the grant for your project, Sam's Cycle Haven. We believe in your vision and look forward to seeing it come to life." A mix of disbelief and overwhelming joy washed over him. He couldn't comprehend what he was reading. He had done it. He had actually done it. Tears stung his eyes as he felt a surge of emotion, relief, gratitude, and the intoxicating rush of hope. Sam jumped to his feet, a wide grin breaking across his face. He couldn't contain his excitement. He thought of the kids he had worked with, the community that had once supported him, and how he could give back. This was not just about him, it was about building a future for others. But amidst the celebration, a familiar wave of fear threatened to pull him under. Would he be able to deliver? Would he meet the expectations set upon him? The enormity of the responsibility loomed, and the weight felt almost unbearable. That night, as he lay in his makeshift bed, he wrestled with these thoughts. He couldn't sleep, his mind racing with ideas and plans, but also the haunting echo of doubt. What if he failed? What if he disappointed everyone who had believed in him? The next day, Sam met with Mike and shared the news. Mike's face lit up with genuine excitement. "This is amazing, Sam. You're going to make such a difference. We need to start planning right away." With Mike's support, they created a roadmap for the next steps. They outlined what the bike shop would look like, what resources would be needed, and how they could engage the community. Every decision felt monumental, but with each step forward, Sam's confidence began to grow. As the weeks went by, they organized community meetings to gather input, and the response was overwhelmingly positive. People were excited about the prospect of Sam's Cycle Haven, eager to contribute ideas and resources. Sam felt the pulse of the community strengthening around him, and it reignited a sense of purpose he hadn't felt in years. However, as the grand opening approached, the pressure mounted. Sam struggled with his own expectations, feeling like an imposter in the role of entrepreneur. What if he couldn't manage the shop? What if he let everyone down? Then, a week before the opening, tragedy struck. While working on the final touches of the shop, Sam received a call from Lucy. Her voice trembled as she spoke. "Sam, it's Mom. She's in the hospital. It's serious." The world around him blurred, and his heart sank. He felt the walls closing in as memories of his family flooded back, the laughter, the warmth, and then the emptiness after Jessica's accident. "I'll be there," he said, his voice steady but his heart racing. When he arrived at the hospital, the sight of his mother lying pale and still in the bed shattered him. Lucy was there, her eyes red from crying. Sam took a deep breath, fighting the wave of emotions crashing over him. "Sam," Lucy whispered, stepping toward him. "I'm scared." "I know," he replied, wrapping his arms around her, trying to offer comfort. But inside, he felt like he was falling apart. The weight of his mother's illness, the pressure of the bike shop, and the unresolved pain of their past collided in a cacophony of fear. As they sat together, waiting for news, Sam's thoughts spiraled. Was this the end of everything he had just begun to build? What if he lost his mother, too? The thought felt unbearable. Hours stretched on, and finally, a doctor entered the room, a serious expression on his face. "She's stable for now, but we need to monitor her closely. It's going to be a tough road ahead." Relief and dread washed over Sam in equal measure. They had time, but it wouldn't be easy. The doctor's words echoed in his mind, "tough road ahead." He felt the enormity of that phrase, both for his mother's recovery and for his own journey. As he and Lucy sat in the hospital room, he reached for her hand. "We'll get through this," he said, trying to sound more confident than he felt. "I'm here for you, and I'll figure this out." But deep down, a storm raged. The bike shop opening loomed closer, and Sam felt torn between his responsibilities to his family and his dream. Would he be able to juggle both? Or would something have to give? As the night wore on, Sam stared out the window, watching the stars twinkle against the dark sky. He felt lost, caught in a tide of uncertainty. But in that moment, he realized something profound. He had faced so many challenges before, and though the road ahead was uncertain, he wasn't alone. He had Lucy, the kids at the workshop, and a community that believed in him. He couldn't let fear dictate his path. He needed to harness that support, to face whatever came next with the strength he had discovered within himself. With a newfound determination, he resolved to keep moving forward. The journey was going to be difficult, but he would honor his mother's fight by pursuing his dream and creating a space for hope, healing, and community. The weight of expectation was heavy, but he was ready to rise above it, no matter what lay ahead. The following weeks were a whirlwind of challenges and unexpected triumphs. Sam's mother remained in the hospital, battling her illness, but he refused to let despair overshadow the hope he had ignited with the bike shop. He spent every available moment at her bedside, holding her hand and sharing stories about the plans he had for Sam's cycle haven. "Mom, you're going to love it," he said one evening, his voice filled with enthusiasm. "It's going to be a place where kids can come to learn, to grow. I can't wait to show you all the repairs I've been teaching them." Her eyes fluttered open, and she managed a weak smile. "I know you're going to make it wonderful, Sam. You've always had a way of bringing people together." Those words fueled him during the most trying days. Whenever he felt overwhelmed, he would remind himself of the hope he was building, not just for himself, but for his family and the community that had stood by him through thick and thin. With the opening day of the bike shop drawing near, Sam and Mike worked tirelessly to prepare. They painted the walls a vibrant green, hung up bikes for display, and set up a small repair station. Local businesses donated supplies, and community members offered their time to help. The excitement was palpable, and as the big day approached, the shop began to take shape as a warm and inviting space. But even amidst the preparations, a sense of doubt lingered. What if no one showed up? What if the shop failed to attract customers? Each night, Sam lay awake, wrestling with the fear of letting everyone down. Yet, he knew he couldn't allow those thoughts to take hold. On the morning of the grand opening, Sam arrived early, his heart pounding in his chest. He wore a freshly ironed shirt and jeans, a stark contrast to the scruffy clothes he had been wearing. As he stepped inside the shop, he took a moment to breathe in the scent of fresh paint and new beginnings. The hours leading up to the opening were filled with excitement. Friends, family, and community members arrived to show their support. Lucy stood by his side, a reassuring presence as they set up the last-minute details. "This is it, Sam. You've worked so hard for this," she said, squeezing his hand. As the clock struck 10, the doors opened, and the first customers trickled in. Sam's heart raced. Would they love the shop? Would they be excited about what he had created? To his amazement, the shop quickly filled with children and their parents, laughter echoing through the air. Sam greeted each person with a smile, sharing his vision for the shop and inviting them to explore the bikes and repair stations. He felt a sense of belonging wash over him, as if he was finally home. The day was filled with joy, and as he looked around, he saw the kids learning how to fix their bikes, their faces lit up with excitement. This was what he had dreamed of, a place where people could come together, learn, and find joy in cycling. Around noon, as the shop buzzed with activity, Sam spotted a familiar figure entering. It was Elon Musk, flanked by a few local leaders. Sam's breath caught in his throat. What's he doing here, he wondered, feeling a mixture of awe and anxiety. Elon approached him, a warm smile on his face. "Sam. Congratulations on the opening. I'm really impressed with what you've done here. This is an incredible space." "Thank you." Sam replied, his heart racing. "I'm just so glad the community is coming together." Elon nodded, glancing around the shop. "You've created something special. Remember, it's not just about bikes, it's about building connections and supporting each other. That's what you've achieved." The words resonated deeply within Sam. He realized that this was more than just a business, it was a lifeline for the community. It was a space where they could find hope, support, and joy together. As the day continued, the energy remained high. Parents signed their kids up for workshops, and people shared stories of their cycling adventures. Sam moved from group to group, soaking in the laughter and camaraderie that filled the air. By the end of the day, he felt utterly exhausted but elated. He looked around at the smiling faces, at the kids proudly showing off their repaired bikes, and a wave of gratitude washed over him. He had done it, he had taken the leap, and it had paid off. As the last customers left, Sam gathered with Lucy and Mike in the center of the shop. "I can't believe how amazing today was," he said, his voice filled with emotion. "Thank you both for everything. I couldn't have done this without your support." "You did all the hard work, Sam," Mike replied. "You had the vision, and you brought it to life. And Mom would be so proud of you," Lucy added, her eyes shining with pride. In that moment, Sam realized that he had not just built a bike shop, he had built a community. He had faced his fears and emerged stronger, more resilient, and more connected than ever before. As they celebrated, Sam's phone buzzed with a message from his mother. She had heard about the opening and sent her love, filled with encouragement and pride. Tears brimmed in his eyes as he read her words, feeling the love that had always surrounded him, even in the darkest moments. The days turned into weeks, and Sam's cycle haven continued to thrive. He offered workshops, hosted community events, and provided a safe space for kids to learn and play. Sam found fulfillment in every smile, every laugh, and every moment shared in the shop. Through it all, he remained grounded in the lessons he had learned along the way. He understood that life would always have its challenges, but with community, support, and hope, he could face anything. He was no longer just surviving, he was truly living. And as he looked out at the bustling shop filled with laughter and joy, he knew that this was just the beginning. With every pedal forward, he was not just moving ahead, he was building a legacy of resilience, connection, and hope for generations to come. Life is full of surprises, he thought, a smile spreading across his face. But when you embrace them, you just might find something incredible waiting on the other side. With the bike shop thriving, Sam felt a sense of accomplishment he had never known before. The community embraced Sam's cycle haven, and he was able to connect with local schools, offering educational programs on bike safety and repair. Parents expressed their gratitude, and kids arrived at the shop after school, eager to learn and hang out. But as with any journey, challenges began to arise. Just a few months after the grand opening, Sam noticed that not all was as it seemed. Despite the initial excitement, there were moments when the foot traffic slowed, and he began to worry about sustainability. Would the shop continue to thrive, or were they experiencing a fleeting wave of enthusiasm? One afternoon, while sorting through donations, Sam overheard a group of kids discussing their favorite bike brands. "I heard there's a new bike shop opening downtown," one kid said. "They've got all the latest models." Sam felt a pang of concern. Competition was inevitable, especially in a vibrant community like theirs. He knew he had to think creatively to keep the momentum going. He gathered his team, including Mike and a few volunteers, to brainstorm new ideas. "Okay, everyone," Sam began, pacing the small space of the shop, "we need to keep things fresh. What can we do to draw more people in?" "What about hosting community rides?" suggested Mike. "We could organize weekend group rides and invite everyone to join." "That's a great idea," Sam replied, feeling a spark of enthusiasm. It would not only promote biking but also help build a stronger community. They began planning a series of themed rides, from family-friendly excursions to more challenging routes for experienced cyclists. Each ride would conclude with a small celebration at the shop, complete with refreshments and bike-related games for kids. But as they prepared for the first ride, another challenge emerged. Sam's mother's health took a turn for the worse. The doctors informed him that she needed more intensive treatment. Sam felt a knot tighten in his stomach as he navigated between his responsibilities at the shop and his role as a son. "Mom, I'll be there as much as I can," he promised during their calls. But the weight of running the shop and supporting Lucy took its toll. He often found himself torn, feeling guilty for not being by his mother's side while also feeling the pressure to keep the shop alive. The day of the first community ride arrived, and Sam was both excited and anxious. He arrived early to set up, determined to make it a success. As people started to gather, he felt a wave of hope. Families, kids, and cycling enthusiasts came together, eager to join the event. "Look at all these bikes," one mother exclaimed as she unloaded her children's bicycles. Sam smiled, feeling the warmth of community surrounding him. The ride began, and as they pedaled through the streets, Sam felt the weight of his worries lifting, if only for a moment. Laughter filled the air, and the sense of camaraderie among the participants was palpable. It was exactly what he had envisioned, a celebration of biking and community spirit. But as the ride concluded and they returned to the shop, Sam's phone buzzed with a text from Lucy. "Mom is in the hospital again. It's not good." Panic coursed through him, and he felt torn between two worlds. "I have to go," he said to Mike, who nodded understandingly. "I'll handle the rest of the day." As he rushed to the hospital, the weight of his responsibilities bore down on him. He entered his mother's room, and the sight of her frail figure sent a wave of anguish through him. "I'm here, Mom," he said softly, taking her hand. "Sam," she whispered, her voice barely audible. "You're doing so well with the shop. I'm proud of you." Tears brimmed in his eyes as he held her hand tightly. "I'm trying my best. I want to make you proud." In the days that followed, Sam spent every moment he could at the hospital. He found comfort in talking to her about the bike shop, sharing stories of the community rides and the kids who were learning and thriving. His mother listened, her eyes lighting up with pride despite her condition. But as the weeks passed, the reality of his situation weighed heavily on him. The shop required more of his attention, and he needed to find a way to balance it all. During one late-night reflection, he felt a realization wash over him: he couldn't do it all alone. The next day, he gathered his team again. "I need to ask for help," he said, determination in his voice. "Let's build a stronger network of support. I can't do this without all of you." They began reaching out to local cyclists and businesses, inviting them to become mentors and partners. With their help, they organized additional community events, workshops, and even a bike repair clinic, where experienced cyclists could volunteer their time to teach others. The support came pouring in, and the shop began to flourish once more. Sam found himself more energized as he connected with the community and fostered relationships that would strengthen Sam's cycle haven. But as he worked tirelessly to grow the shop, he still faced the reality of his mother's health. One evening, he returned to the hospital, exhausted but hopeful. As he entered her room, he noticed a change in her condition. She seemed weaker than before, and Sam's heart sank. "Mom, I'm here," he whispered, sitting beside her. He squeezed her hand gently, hoping for a flicker of recognition. "I've been busy with the shop, and everyone is so excited about the new rides." She opened her eyes slowly, a weak smile forming. "You're living your dream, Sam. Don't forget that." Tears streamed down his face as he fought to maintain composure. "I want you to see it. I want you to be there when it really takes off." As the days turned into weeks, Sam's mother continued to struggle. Each visit felt like a painful reminder of the fragility of life. He spoke to her every day, sharing stories from the shop and the laughter of the kids. But he couldn't shake the feeling that he was running out of time. One evening, as Sam sat by her bedside, he felt a wave of sadness wash over him. "I wish you could be there for the next community ride, Mom. It's going to be amazing." Her hand squeezed his, and she whispered, "I will be, Sam. In every smile, every pedal forward. You're not alone." In that moment, he understood. While he faced challenges, he had the strength of his community, the support of his friends, and the love of his family to carry him through. The dream he was building wasn't just for himself, it was for all of them. As he left the hospital that night, he felt a renewed sense of purpose. He had a mission to carry on, to make his mother proud, and to honor the legacy of love and support that had shaped him. The road ahead might be difficult, but with each step, he would strive to create a space of hope and resilience for others. He knew that no matter the challenges, he would keep pedaling forward, fueled by love, hope, and the unwavering support of a community that believed in him. With each new day, he was reminded that the journey was just as important as the destination, and he was ready to embrace whatever came next. As the sun rose on the day of the next community ride, Sam stood outside the shop, feeling a mix of excitement and nervousness. It had been several weeks since the last ride, and the community's enthusiasm was still palpable. Flyers hung around town, and social media buzzed with anticipation. He was determined to make this event even more special. But the weight of his mother's illness still lingered in his heart. She had been moved to a hospice care facility, and while he visited her daily, the reality of her situation was becoming increasingly difficult to bear. Each visit felt like a bittersweet farewell, and Sam fought to remain strong for both her and himself. As he prepared for the ride, he focused on the kids. They were eager, buzzing with energy, ready to learn and explore. Sam rallied them together, explaining the route and what to expect. "Today is all about fun and community," he declared, his voice filled with enthusiasm. "Let's show everyone what we can do together." As they mounted their bikes and set off, Sam felt a rush of joy wash over him. The sight of kids laughing, parents chatting, and cyclists enjoying the open road ignited something deep within him. For those moments, the worries of the world faded away, and he felt a sense of purpose. The ride wound through the town, passing familiar landmarks and scenic routes. Sam led the group, and as they pedaled along, he shared stories about the area, the history, the beauty, and the importance of community. He noticed how engaged the kids were, asking questions and sharing their own experiences. As they reached the halfway point, they stopped at a local park for refreshments and games. Sam set up a small bike obstacle course, inviting everyone to join in. Laughter filled the air as kids navigated the course, their faces lighting up with joy. In that moment, Sam felt a profound sense of fulfillment. He was not just running a bike shop, he was fostering a community, creating memories, and building connections that would last a lifetime. After the games, Sam gathered everyone for a group photo, a way to capture the spirit of the day. As they posed together, he felt a surge of gratitude for each person there, everyone who had believed in him, supported him, and joined in the journey. Once the ride concluded and everyone returned to the shop, Sam noticed a familiar figure waiting for him outside. It was Elon Musk again. This time, he was accompanied by a local news crew. "Sam," Elon called out, his smile wide. "I heard about your ride today. What an incredible turnout." "Thank you, Elon. It's been amazing to see everyone come together," Sam replied, his heart racing at the sight of the camera crew. "Your work is inspiring," Elon continued. "I'd like to help spread the word about Sam's Cycle Haven. How about we do an interview? I believe your story can encourage others to support local communities." Sam felt a wave of disbelief. This was a huge opportunity. "Sure. I'd love to share our story." As the cameras rolled, Sam spoke passionately about the bike shop, the community rides, and the importance of fostering connections. He shared how cycling brought people together and created a sense of belonging. His words flowed freely, fueled by the love and support he felt from everyone around him. After the interview, Elon smiled and clapped Sam on the shoulder. "You're doing incredible work. Keep it up. You're making a real difference." That evening, after the excitement of the day began to fade, Sam visited his mother. He brought along a photo of the ride, showing her the smiling faces and the vibrant energy of the community. "Mom, you wouldn't believe how amazing today was," he said, tears welling in his eyes. Everyone came together, and it felt like a celebration of life. She gazed at the photo, her eyes glistening with pride. "You're giving them hope, Sam. That's what matters most. You're creating a legacy." In that moment, he realized that the shop wasn't just about bikes, it was about resilience, love, and community. He was carrying forward the values his mother had instilled in him, and he knew that her spirit would always be with him. As the weeks turned into months, the impact of Sam's Cycle Haven continued to grow. The news segment reached a wider audience, drawing in new customers and supporters. More kids signed up for workshops, and the community rides became a cherished tradition. However, the emotional weight of his mother's condition remained. Each visit felt more poignant, and Sam struggled to balance his responsibilities with the pain of watching her health decline. But he knew she was proud of him, and that thought fueled him. One day, while sitting by her bedside, she reached for his hand. "Sam," she whispered, her voice soft but steady, "promise me you'll keep doing what you love. You have so much to give." "Mom, I promise," he replied, his voice choked with emotion. "I'll keep pushing forward for you and for everyone who believes in this dream." In the following weeks, as the community continued to rally around the shop, Sam faced the toughest day yet. His mother passed away peacefully, surrounded by love. The grief felt insurmountable, yet in the midst of the sorrow, he found a sense of peace knowing she had seen him flourish. At her memorial service, Sam spoke about his mother's unwavering support and the lessons she had taught him about resilience and love. "She always believed in community," he said, his voice steady despite the tears. And I will carry that belief forward in everything I do. As he looked out at the faces of family, friends, and community members, he felt a renewed sense of purpose. They were all there for him, just as he had been there for them. With time, the grief became a part of his journey, a reminder of the strength that comes from love and support. Sam poured himself into the bike shop, organizing more community rides and workshops, creating spaces for others to connect and grow. Every ride, every smile, every repaired bike was a tribute to his mother's legacy. He understood that while life would have its challenges, the connections he built would continue to uplift him. In the heart of the community, Sam's Cycle Haven stood as a beacon of hope and resilience. It was a place where people came together, where stories were shared, and where dreams took flight. And through it all, Sam knew he was living out the very values his mother had instilled in him, a commitment to love, community, and the pursuit of a better tomorrow. As he looked around the bustling shop, he felt a sense of fulfillment wash over him. The journey was far from over, but he was ready to embrace whatever lay ahead. With each pedal forward, he was not just moving ahead, he was creating a brighter future for himself and everyone around him. Life is indeed full of surprises, he thought with a smile, and I'm grateful for every moment.